Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to this session, our debrief session for Module 2. Good to see a number of you joining, though we still have, many of us who I don't see online. As I've been mentioning, this is really the one opportunity we have to recap whatever we covered on Monday and really ask questions, engage us. Yeah, let's have a discussion. Really, space we created just to help you understand the module more. In terms of how we are structured today in this discussion, allow me if you can share your screen. We really want again to reference our assignment. For most of you, as I put in the chat, not many of you have done the assignment or submitted it, which is a pity because obviously then it limits our ability to discuss and to revise together. It's always good when we've done the assignment, then we can all bring our ideas and whatever we saw or challenges we had as we're doing the assignment. But nevertheless, we really need to move on and try to make do with what we have. So I listed 6 people, Dina, Ignatius, Leslie, Margaret, Fred, and John, who submitted the assignment and were able to look at it. I don't know if any of you currently online submitted and you don't see your name on the list. Please flag that, and maybe you did it this morning or late last night, maybe when we didn't have time to look at it. But please, as we've been saying, we expect 100% submission of assignment. So even if you didn't submit before, please make sure that you submit after this session in order to yeah, to have the full, to meet the requirements for this course. I think I don't see, I think allow me is still off. I'll try to share my screen and project our program for the day. Give me a sec. Um, um, it's not showing, but let me try again. Just bear with me. Secondly, it should show. So, okay. Okay. Good. Um, can you all see my screen? Can somebody confirm? I guess you should. But
Yes, you can see us.
very good. Very good. So today, yes, like I said, it's all about revision. The idea is that we can use break into groups. Again, the whole idea is to revisit the assignment, have a discussion around, your internal organic standard. And by description, internal organic standard is really your rules, your organic production rules and how, you operate as a system. If you can, follow the flow of the assignment, discuss with each other where you saw challenges or practices that you thought you're doing and they are not consistent with what we discussed on Monday as the new requirement, and then brainstorm on, how to address those challenges. You're few, you're not many, so even when we divide you into 2 groups, it will be like, 3 people or, to discuss and you can share across. And then after that, we shall come back into a plenary where we would love to hear what you discussed in your respective group. And that will form the basis of our engagement today. The goal is really to find what are those tricky points, what are those challenging, requirements, areas that you find, will be challenging for you to comply with, and then we can discuss together to find solutions. So really, that's the purpose of today, and it's really rather going to be simple if you can help us. And we want to use real examples. That's why we put you in a group to brainstorm if you can follow the flow of the assignment. Let me try. And I'm sure most of you still remember that because we did the assignment, but if you don't, I can also try to project what your assignment required and then follow that flow to try and have the discussion today. Yeah, so maybe two. Let me see if that works. So really, this was assignment where we are asking you, and especially part two, where we're asking you to review your internal organic production route for farmers. Look at one around separation of organic production units. How is it going, and what is the standard saying about that? You can look at any how to manage conversion. What are the procedures against the new requirements? Any soil fertility management challenges or that you see, crop rotation, use of external organic fertilizers or soil amendments, weed management, plant protection, harvest or post-harvest, prevention of contamination. Really, if you can follow that flow, in your respective group, and you can start with one case study. So just highlighting, okay, this is the practice in my operation currently, and I think this will be the challenge for me to comply with the new requirements. And that's what we want. So whatever you see is consistent, it's not really interesting, but where you see challenges, either in interpretation or in implementation, those are the pieces that we want you to capture in your small groups, and then you can bring them into the plenary, and then we can have a discussion around them. Is the instruction clear? Can somebody tell if we are together? We are good? Allow me to see your back.
Yeah, I'm back.
Great. Can you help to create the two groups for the discussion?
Now that we have 3 people.
Oh, more people have dropped off.
More people have dropped off. I wonder what is going on through the network.
I hope it's not a network issue. We had 6 at some point. I thought we could have 3 free, but now with 3 people, that even becomes more challenging. Probably, I'm just thinking what we could potentially do for us to,
I think we should create one with the 3 people. If new people are joining, then we create a separate one for those who are joining.
I think that's fine. I would love that they have an opportunity to talk to each other. So yeah. I think you can go ahead and do that. How much? So we give them. I think the plan is to give how much time for this activity?
It's supposed to be 70 minutes. Like 70 divided because we have 2 plenary sessions. It's 70 minutes.
Yeah, I think we can reduce it so we can have more time in the plenary. I don't think when there are few people, they will need all the 70. So we can do like 40 at most or 30.
Okay.
Yeah, just to have a discussion and then can come back in the plenary and we have more time to talk together.
Okay.
If you can set up the group, we're already 20 minutes past the hour. So if we can do the group and then be back at the top of the hour, then use the other hour for just for discussion. That would be good.
Okay.
And as more people come, then you'll be adding them to the group. I think let's keep it one group because I don't think many people will join. But colleagues, I just wanted to know whether you're clear with the assignment or what we need to do. So already we have 4 people now. Yeah, you can form one group and then have that discussion. If we are 4 people and each one takes up approximately 10 minutes or less, then the 40 minutes is done.
So the rooms are open?
Oh, okay. Actually, you managed to do 2. Okay, great. So maybe what we do, I'll join room 2.
Okay, then I'll go to
Yeah,
room 1.
yeah, because I see there are only 2 people. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll just.
Hello, Messi. You are in room 2. Can you click on your breakout room and join your breakout room? This is showing us that you are not in the meeting. Margaret, you are in breakout room 1. Can you please click on the breakout room board, or do I just move you to? I have moved you to. I can move you. Okay.
Olaomi, while we wait for the others to come in, there's something that really bothers me. Help me understand it better. This word retroactive, I don't understand what it really means in this organic stuff. I understand what conversion is, but when that word retroactive comes in, I'm lost.
Okay, retroactive. The retroactive means that the farmers are claiming that they are organic. They are claiming that they are organic, but they need to prove to the CB that they are organic. And so the proving stage is called retroactive. So they are going to the ICS will fill a form, describe or fill all the questions, answer all the questions relating to them saying that they have actually passed all these tests of that for this number of years to have the in conversion. Do you understand now?
Yes. Thank you. I now get it very well. And then this other thing of water. I've also just noticed our ICS doesn't really highlight what amount, what quality and what water sources are acceptable. I noticed some farmers, when it rains, those who are by the roadsides, they make trenches from the road, and then the water is diverted to their fields. And then there are those who have streams at the lower end of their gardens, and some of them pick this water and irrigate some of their crops onto their fields, picking water from these trenches and springs that go through their farms. And some use national water from the national system, the taps. Is there any specific requirement that clarifies better on what types of water I should use for production at farm level, and how I should prepare this water for best use?
Hello everyone. Are we all back to the main group? I think yes.
Hello.
Hello. We came in when Vincent was asking a question. I don't know who is supposed to respond to that question.
Yeah, and I got half of his question. If you can, Vincent, can you repeat the question? Vincent.
Okay, thank you. So my question is, I just noticed from the discussion that our ICS has a weakness somewhere. We don't really highlight the amount, the quality of water and the types of water sources we should be acquiring water from on our organic fields. A point in case, some of my farmers have roads going through their farms, or they are close to roads, and they have the habit of making trenches from the roadside, so that when it rains, part of this water flows into their fields. And then some have springs and trenches on the lower ends of their gardens. These streams are coming from some other farms and towns, and they're picking some of this water and irrigating their fields. Is there any requirement in any of these things that really highlights the types of water I should be using, if I should call it that, or the sources of water that are acceptable according to the EU regulations? Thank you.
Allow me, you want to take that? Or?
Oh, you can go. I saw your mic open, so I just paused. Yeah.
No, that's a good question, Vincent. And that is a case-by-case situation. So what the standard requires is to use is us to approach, some of these uh, issues, using a risk-based approach. So meaning that, for example, yes, we have to identify what are the potential sources of contamination on any particular field. So within the ICS, so meaning as the ICS manager, you need to identify what are the potential sources of risk to organic production, or things that can compromise the organic quality of the product, and list all of them. So water could be one of them. Another one could be neighboring farms doing conventional products. For other regions, it could be, factory sources of water. It could be fumes, it could be anything. So really, as the ICS manager, it's your responsibility to look around your ICS and identify all those potential sources of contamination. And then when you, of course, you can also rate them as what, where the risk, you can also have a risk grid where you say it's high, medium, or low, for those different. And then where obviously those that you are high or medium, then you have to have mitigation measures. So if you, for some reason, highlighted water as high risk point, a point of contamination, then you, for whatever reason, whether the water is coming upstream, you have many conventional farmers, or you have factories or whatever, then you have to put mitigation measures as the ICS manager. And what should be the recommendation to farmers? Maybe one of them could be they should not divert such water into their fields. Or secondly, you can say farmers should not use that water for irrigating, or if they irrigate with it, they don't irrigate on the edible parts or harvestable parts of the crop. So etc, etc. So your job as the ICS manager is to document all that. So when the inspector comes, then they will get access to see whether the mitigation measures you're putting in place are actually adequate to minimize the risk that is coming from those things. Obviously, when it's not enough, then you'll be required to have additional measures. So it's very hard for such things to have a one solution fits all, but it's rather contextual. I know places where farmers are using, diverting water into their fields, and it's okay. It's just surface runoff from the road, and it's okay. The risk is very minimal, so they can divert it to their field, and the risk is low. I know farmers who use, streams and others on the lower parts of their field, which are also clean, and they are deemed not, they are natural, they are not carrying any contamination. They are okay. And that's no risk. So it's really you, and I've seen some cases where, producers are required to do annual testing of that water. So for example, if you, again, have a big stream of water, maybe on the upper side, you know that there could be contamination, then you're required to do annual testing of that water to verify that really the water is clean, especially where farmers are using the water to clean what they've harvested. That is where it becomes very critical that whatever the water you use in post-harvest handling has to be, very good quality, actually drinkable quality, or what we normally call potable quality, potable water. So annual testing could be one of the mitigation measures to confirm that the quality is good, or other measures. So really, who determines the risk or whether it's allowable or not, it's really you, the ICS manager, and then obviously it will be verified by the inspector to see whether the mitigation measures you have are adequate. But it's a case by case. I hope in those so many words you get some answer.
Yes, thank you very much.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian, for that explanation. So we go to the plenary session, and then we have two breakout room session, and then we ask each room to present their findings, what their findings is in this particular manner that I'm going to share. my screen. Can we all see my screen? So you share, the notes should have been in this format, then you share also in this format what's key learnings in your internal standard that has to change or is remaining, or you are just starting that particular area under conversion to organic, non-organic and non-organic production, fertilization and soil management, pest disease and weed management, planting material, post-harvest handling by farmers. Over to you, group 1, or breakout room 1.
I don't remember actually. Ours was group 1 or group 2?
You were group 2.
Or group 2. Oh, sorry, yours is group 1. So over to your group 2. Okay.
So Vincent, Bafo, Margaret, yes, over to you.
Yes, hello everyone. This is I hope well. I'm having a bit of network issues. There's construction where I am and the place is a bit noisy. But I'm going to just share. Should I share the issues we've highlighted from under all this, just for my own clarity?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. So I'm just going not to follow any specific one, that conversion first or what. I'm just going to try to spell them out as I've written them down. So under conversion to organic, the conversion period for the crops that we referred to in my group, it is mostly vanilla and the pineapples, and the conversion period we highlighted is 3 years. And we're guided that for farmers that have evidence that they've not been using chemicals, those who have records, it's not a must that the conversion period should be 3 years, but as an ITS manager, you should be able to determine, based on the records the farmer has, whether the conversion should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, based on your scenario. And then all manure on the farm or used on the farm must come from within the farm, because the farm is organic certified. So you who has been doing nutrient mining, acquiring crop residues from some other farm, getting animal feed from your local feed supplier, and then also buying maize bran from some other place, or hay and pastures from some other place, that is not allowed. And the manure from the animals and birds that you've been using is also not allowed. If I might make it very simple, all the feeds, whichever type, and all the feeds that are given to your birds must be, or your animals must be, from within the farm. And then that way, you're able to have manure that is from within the farm as well. And then if even the farmers who are using cocoa pods and coffee byproducts, processing byproducts, that is also not allowed unless they're from within the farm. Then also the other thing we had as an ICS weakness, all of us, and we've now been helped to understand it better, is that there should be a line now called in conversion. So don't just have conventional farmers and organic farmers. Your ICS should have a farmer list of farmers who are in conversion. And even when you're selling their product, it should be marked as organic in conversion. So that should be documented. And then for the water, we've highlighted on that. So those are the main things that were weaknesses from our ICS, and we've been helped by Olaumi to understand them better. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent, for your submission. Breakout room 2, over to you.
Maybe before 2, can we ask some questions?
Okay, or probably contribution from the other group member.
From what you've shared, yes.
Yeah. Do you want to add to it? Margaret? John, I know you joined late. Buffalo, Margaret?
No, he said all that we discussed.
Margaret?
I think he has summarized
everything. Yeah, your network is.
Somebody's trying to speak, but we can't hear.
Yes, that's Margaret. The network is bad. So, Brian, let's go for questions.
Yes, yeah. Can I, yes. No, I just wanted to comment on what the group has shared. You know, this issue around conversion. It's, you know, we had a long discussion around retroactive recognition. That means that all that applies where you want to, you know, to subject a farm or a farmer to less than the recommended conversion period. Yeah. Obviously, it can be longer. There's no limit to how long you can, you know, convert a farm. It can even be 5 years. So if the recommended is 3, and then you want to be 2, then that has to be approved by the CB. So I expect that in your organic standard, you include that requirement. So the farmer, you as the ICF manager need to communicate, and from the point when you know, the CB has acknowledged, that's when it starts. So I just wanted to emphasize that bit, that, yeah, because I remember in your, I couldn't tell because you're sharing the screen. I think was it Vincent was sharing that it could be 1, 2, or no. If you, whenever it's less than the requirement, then the CB comes in, because that's now exceptional approval. But if it's higher, then that's okay. It's you, the ICS manager, who determines. So I wanted to just make that comment, it's just to be aware of that. And maybe to go with the other comment on in-conversion. Yes, that is very important, to always separate your organic. As you're presenting on the farmer's list, you should actually have a column which shows organic status. So in the organic status column, you can include whether the farmer is organic or in conversion. Yeah, we don't expect conventional on that list, because we don't do conventional. We don't add conventional farmers in the group of operators. We only have organic. So only 2 qualities are expected. So the farmer is either organic or in conversion, yeah, in your farmer's list. And in terms of selling as in conversion, normally in the EU market, you would not succeed to sell products as in conversion, but you can sell on the local market. That's the only window you have to sell any product that is in conversion. You know, before they become full organic. For the EU market, it has to be full organic. The in conversion is normally sold as any other product. You can sell it as convention on the market, but in conversion, it will be hard to sell it on the organic market. So just wanted to make that also clear. And then this other piece around, of course, you will also hear it in our discussion, that all feeds should come from the farm, all manure should come from the farm. I think that is a hard requirement, and we are actually, it's a requirement that can work against the organic principle, because we are striving to create, you know, circularity. You know, we want to see that we are not, I think you mentioned something around mining. We're not mining the system, because but when you restrict that everything comes from the farm, yet on one hand you are harvesting and taking things from the farm. You are harvesting pineapples or whatever fruits you're harvesting and selling, then you are basically mining that farm, because you don't allow to bring in new, you get what I mean, into that farm. The only risk, if you can do your risk assessment on where farmers are getting additional feed from, and you are sure that those feeds are not, I mean, they don't pose such a risk. For example, if feeds for livestock and you're not selling livestock products, there's no that hard requirement in the regulation that farmers can't use externally sourced feed. They can, so long as you know that they are not bringing in such a level of risk in terms of contamination. They can. And you can use manure from those animals. only organic product. You just have to describe what the process is and also do your own risk assessment to show that whichever feed they are using, they don't pose such a risk. I've seen farmers who are using poultry manure from some, whether you could call it commercial or industrial production, maybe farmers who are having 1,000, 2,000 birds and things like that. And honestly, if you do the risk assessment, you find that it doesn't pose such a huge risk. Then farmers can use it and you can justify. And ultimately, you as the ICS manager, you should be the spokesperson for the farmers, to demonstrate that some of these things they are using, they don't pose a risk. Let's approach most of the things from a risk point of view. What is the risk associated with this kind of input, either manure or feed, to the production system? If you can demonstrate that the risk is low or even non-existent, then we should really not close that door and only restricting farmers to only use things within their farm. Yet, on the other hand, you're taking away things from the farm. For sustainability, there is a problem there because we are not really completing, we're not building circularity around the farm. That would be my take on that. I hope it's clear. Or anybody who has wants to counter that argument, it's also allowed.
Yeah, but that question actually spring from even Vincent, because they are actually also submitting onto NOP. And on the NOP standard, which he quoted, says that the manure should come from organic certified farms. And so, which I explained to him that if that is the clause, then the feed or the feed ingredients has to be for farms that are certified as organic. So, because they are being certified to two different standards now, so they can maintain one aspect lesser, one aspect more. So they just have to balance the two standards. Yeah.
Okay. So I understand, if you say NOP requirements, then that's the difference. But I still emphasize that you should have some of these discussions with the inspectors, because I've operated in the NOP system where some of these things were subject to interpretation, especially when you're applying some of these standards in contexts where, we don't have that critical mass of certified operations where you can supply and have all these requirements, all these inputs and everything from certified farms. So for example, the standard says from certified farms, but obviously how many NOP certified farms do you have? You can also speak of other organic, they may not be certified, but if you can prove that, again, they are good, whatever. I always want, and I would advise as an ICS manager, you should have some of these conversations with your inspectors, your certifiers, again, contextual, so that they really understand some of the limitations you have and not take it as a blanket requirement. Great, that was my comment. I know we were supposed to present from group 2. Fred, you wanna speak on behalf of our group? It was a two-person group.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. I would like to present Group 2's discussion. In Group 2, the crop that we covered were fruits and majorly fruits like pineapples and avocado, apple, banana. Then separation of units. One is we expect the farmer to have separate production units. That is separate organic unit, which is separated by buffer zone. In this case, buffer zone means planting of the hedge and also buffer by space, which is 4 meters recommended. Then also when it comes to separation of products, we recommend purchase or harvesting of its quality. If it is organic, you need to harvest at a time organic product only, not mixed product, and also label them properly using the farm codes for easy identification of the product during storage or other post-harvest handling. Then the need for change is to have separate storage units for its quality, and also labeling of units and equipment, that is as well as color coding to make sure if it is red is carrying conversion, or if it is green is carrying organic, so that is separate. Now, when it comes to transportation, we also recommend separate transportation units. Like one truck should carry one quality. If there's a truck carrying organic product, you should not mix both organic product and conversion product. It means if it is organic, you carry organic, you don't carry even any other goods. This we recommend only carrying or transporting organic and not any other good or quality. Then for conversion period and retroactive approval, for conversion period, we recommend 3 years for new members. Then also new fees for existing members, 3 years. Then the conversion after a farmer has used prohibited inputs, 3 years. We had a discussion on the retroactive, which was basically proving a lot of things. One, you can prove the land being organic or being managed organic, but the issue of planting material, where the farmer gets planting materials, needs to be also properly spelled out, because proving where the planting material is coming from, also proving the management of the organic unit, we find it quite hard. That's why in biogas we don't, as a case in point, we don't encourage retroactive, but as discussed, if there is another person who can prove, or a farmer, then to the CB we recommend, and the CB comes in and approve the retroactive consideration or recognition. Then alongside soil fertility management and prevention of erosion, we in ICS, most of the, in our case, the ICS that we discussed spelled out that the farmers should be used and is not allowed to use unallowed input, but but there was no option given for which other input for which other input to be used. So we discussed that there's need to include, if the farmer is not allowed to use unallowed input, or maybe fertilizer from the source, the organic fertilizer, or manure from these other things, what should the farmer use? We need to spell it properly. Like as we recommend the use of cultural methods. Then also, now when it comes to prevention of soil erosion, in the ICS that we discussed, it was not properly spelled out, but we in our discussion we spelled out that members shall ensure sufficient control of soil erosion using water retention dishes, grass strips, mulching, and cover cropping. Then also in the ICS we discussed there was no the compaction of soil, how to prevent compaction of soil, which is one of the issues when it comes to soil management. So we also spelled out that the members shall prevent soil compaction by cover cropping, mulching, manuring, and timely working of the soil. Avoid working during wet soil and using heavy machinery. Then when we go next is crop rotation or crop diversity. In the ICS we discussed that there was there was no recommendation or rule along this crop rotation or crop diversity. And we discussed that the ICS needs to include a crop rotation or intercropping plan where it depends on the crops that you have planted. If it is pineapple, what comes next after pineapple? Then if it is vanilla or if it is apple banana, what comes after apple banana? You need to spell it up properly in the crop rotation or crop diversity or intercropping plan. Then use of external organic fertilizer or soil amendment. Yes, farmers are not allowed to use external fertilizer as earlier on stated, but they need to change. We need to also encourage. Now we need to properly spell out if the farmers are not allowed to use unallowed input, or we need to properly spell out what should they use and where should they source them from. Yeah, I think that needs to be properly spelled out in the ICS. Then along with management, in the ICS we discussed, it was just spelled that a farmer is not allowed to use unallowed inputs like herbicide in their fields. But also there is need that to include the phrases like to include options. What if the farmer is not allowed to do this or use the herbicide? What should the farmer do? Then for our discussion, we spelled out that some members are only allowed to use mechanical methods like slashing, plowing for control of weeds, and no use of unallowed inputs for control of weeds. Then when it comes to plant protection measures and use of plant protection inputs or products, then we said, we also, in the ICS that we discussed, spelled out that farmers are not to use unallowed inputs, including pesticides and fungicides, but there was no option provided for what the farmers would use in case of pest or disease attack. So we discussed and also spelled out that the farmers are encouraged to use natural methods, cultural methods like use of tolerant varieties, crop rotation, maintaining healthy soils, intercropping, and the use of natural predators for control of pests and disease. It means now, when it comes to this plant protection thing, if it is the natural methods or the homemade remedies, we also discussed that they need to be properly spelled out in exactly what the farmer uses, then and why the farmer, the reason why the farmer is using the product. You need to properly spell it out in the ICS. If it is neem extra, why is it the farmer using neem extra? Is it control pest or to prevent to which type of pest control? Also, you need to properly spell it out. That's what came from our discussion as well. Then on the harvesting and the post-harvest activities, we discussed that each product from the ICS that we discussed spelled out that each product from each unit shall be harvested as separately, weighed and labeled with the farm code. Farmers shall ensure no commingling and contamination of products. Then the ICS also further spelled out that farmers shall ensure proper hygiene before handling products, including cleaning of equipment, washing of hands, and personal hygiene by the workers. Then also the ICS spelled use of clean water for cleaning equipment and products. Then transportation of products shall be done using separate trucks labeled, and the truck is not allowed to carry any other goods. Then each product unit shall be labeled properly and documented at the farm on farm production or farm sales card. Then delivery note, and upon arrival at the packing unit, the weight should be confirmed and recorded in goods received note. Then each product shall be stored separately and arranged according to the codes. Now the ICS also spelled out that during handling and packing of products, handling and packing of products shall be done code per code, meaning if the product from farmer maybe SV that you have coded D50 SV, or in this case the farmer's name is Sonko, you need to handle that pineapple code per code, meaning you handle that code, complete it. After completing, you do thorough cleaning and then also go for the next code. for the case for our case, the ICS that we discussed on a hand organic product, the risk here is mixing of separate other codes into the other mixing of codes. It's not now mixing of quality. Now, when you are handling both organic and in conversion, it means now you need to separate also by time or by space or by storage unit the different qualities. Then prevention of contamination of organic land and crops. We discussed also that members are established sufficient buffer zone around their fields. And then also that was discussed earlier on. I think we go to next. I think that is all I have from group 2. If there is any that my member can add that.
Thanks, Fred. I mean, well captured. So colleagues, I think one of the key maybe feedback points from our discussion, and I like Fred brought it out very well. The organic standard, internal organic standard, should have do's and don'ts. But if you actually, if you are listening to him critically, you know, the way it is framed, the one he has, is focusing a lot on the don't, which is good, but not enough. Because when you tell a farmer, don't do this, then you need to give them the alternative. What is the alternative? If you don't want me to do this, what else can I do? And I think we should always be clear on that in our organic standards, so that at least the option of what farmers, the other options they can do, because yes, they need to manage soil fertility. So if you only told me don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, and you don't give me enough scope in terms of the do's, then soil fertility will not be managed. When it comes to plant protection, yes, the don'ts are very clear, but the do's in most cases are not clear. When we talk about the homemade products, and that now comes to the new regulation, you have to know exactly what farmers are using, for what, and possibly when. Because again, taking a risk management approach, then we can know that, okay, either whatever they're using is not causing such a risk that can compromise our organic quality. So in the organic standard, you have all the don'ts, but in terms of the do's, you will list all that farmers, you can just include a table, what they use, when, and for what, and for which crop. And then, of course, with that, you're sure that you are in charge and you know exactly what is happening on your farm. I put in the chat, you know, when you go to the new organic regulation, it will tell you, for example, that example I put in the chat relates to soil fertility management, that only products and substances listed in that article, that annex of the regulation, are the ones that are allowed. So you as the ISS manager, you should have that list and cross-check. So everything that is listed there, you can just automatically go and use. But they are saying also additionally, and this was also on the slide, if you check, that any of farm, and this was the discussion we had. So where farmers have to source things externally, please make sure that that is listed and you inform the certification body for approval. That includes whatever is already included in the list in that annex, or any new thing. And again, the certification body will do their risk management or risk assessment, and then determine whether those items can be used. That applies to soil inputs, that applies to plant protection inputs, that applies to post-harvesting management inputs that you use. Anything that you do and out of the farm can be approved. So it's not enough just you don't get things from outside, but if you as the S manager think that the risk is low, just add it to the list, inform the CB, and maybe they will approve it and you can use it. But thanks. Maybe the other thing Fred didn't mention, in his organic standard, there was missing the element of use of planting material. You remember we had the 2 slides on Monday that are only talking about what planting materials farmers can use and what they can't use. That is very critical in the new standard, and please make sure that you have capture that in the internal organic standard as well. But thanks, Fred. That was a good presentation. Comment from group one? Vincent, I see your hand. Is that a hand?
No, I was just clapping for him. Good presentation.
Okay. Good. Any compliments, any additional pieces I mean, overall on this, on the assignment, on the discussion? I think we are in that space where we can broadly share, like when you're going through it, both alone, but also in the group, what are some of the things that stood out for you that you need to do to improve? Maybe I wish we have time, if you allow me, we could actually go around and for each one, just mention one or two things that stood out that you need to work on, especially colleagues that haven't said a thing. Yeah, we are learning, we're in class. So I would, if you allow me, I could start with Pepra. I'm following the order on my screen. What stood out for you?
Hello, Brian.
Hey, yes, Pepra.
Yes, I didn't get your question well. If you can repeat for me.
No, the question is, of course, we're just taking, reflections from the assignment, from the discussion today. What stood out in terms of the improvements that you need to do in your internal organic standard? Any two or three, just briefly.
Yes. What I would say on my part is the way bill, even though it is not part of what we just discussed, but I would want to see a change in our way bill from package house to the port. Last year I had an issue with this when the auditor came. And in fact, I didn't quite understand what he was asking for because we have the template where we fill. But in most cases, the shipper will give us a way bill. So ours is not that used. So I'm contemplating whether we still have to write our way bill because what the shipper will give us, I will not have a copy to show the auditor. So if you can make a clarification on that, whether I still have to use our template, which is in the manual, or we still use what the shipper will give us, which I don't have a copy, or I will not have a copy.
I didn't exactly actually understand the question, though I think we are going to cover that in the next week when you're talking about ICS procedures, where you can elaborate some of those pieces around documentation, around handling. I think we can handle that. If you can hold that question and bring it up next week in the discussion of different procedures, that would be good. But
so what I will do is I will bring the template and then share for discussion.
Exactly. I think that will even be more helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Swiftly moving on, I want to skip Vincent for now because you did a presentation. Kennedy, anything stood out for you? Kennedy, if you're speaking, I see you're still muted. Oh, you're traveling. What stood out was not focusing on the dots, but also on the do's. Okay, great. That's a good one. Leslie, you're next in the order on my screen.
Okay, hello.
Hello.
I think for me,
forced without what has to be with the rotation of crops. So some farmers
Okay.
just let the land.
Can you increase on the volume a little bit? I don't know whether you're not speaking directly into the mouthpiece. We hardly hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, that's better. That's better.
So most farmers will rather let their land go fallow instead of planting something else, the mandatory leguminous crop. So we have to enforce that going forward. Did you get?
Okay, yeah, I had a part of it, not the full one. Part, I mean, I had the piece on around the challenge in terms of farmers not wanting to grow the legumes. They would prefer to let their fields to fallow. Was that the submission?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I think, there are many ways of using legumes, and that also can be included in your internal organic standard, even during fallow. There are some legumes that are better used in a fallow because of the way they grow. They are quite aggressive, meaning they can't grow with other crops. So for those that are really aggressive, they are better to grow during the fallow. So when the farmers are ready to fallow their land, tell them you can put and include some guidance that they can throw some seeds or plant some seeds within the fallow space so that generate a lot of biomass, which can eventually be plowed into the ground. But also there are other legumes that can be intercropped within existing crops. There are those ones that are not very aggressive that can, be intercropped. But also there are others that are very quick growing that can be planted before the main crop comes into the field. So you plant them, then plow them, and then bring in the official crop. So again, the question of have you provided alternatives? Have you even named, what type of legume that the farmers can use? Those specifics in terms of what the farmers can do, in most cases, I find them missing in our internal organic standards. So we need to do that. We need to include those details, and then farmers will potentially be more guided on what to do. But okay, thank you for that. That's a good point. Swiftly moving on. So my screen, who is next? Margaret?
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. So my highlights from the discussion was about fertility and field management. As we were explaining it. Yes, please.
No, we can hear you. Please continue.
You can hear me?
Yes, kindly continue.
Okay, so my highlight from the discussion was really about fertilization and soil management, where we discussed that manure, like from our end, since we have NOP, and so we're discussing how we can do out with the manure, and also the fact that the fertilizers for the plants that we have are supposed to come from the field. Like everything, even the crop residues, let me say when you plant the legumes, that is what you use as cover in the field, not getting manure from another field that is not organically certified, which I think that's one of the improvements that we are going to make, because I understand there are some farmers who are buying like maize stovers from other people's fields and then bringing them for mulching in their fields. So we are going to strengthen this. And so this was like my major highlight.
And by strengthening, Margaret, you mean put a requirement for them not to do it, or
so one, by strengthening is really putting a requirement, and then also, as you've said, providing solutions. Like that's when advising farmers to have intercrops in their field, in case they need maize, to have a part where they can maybe use it in a buffer area besides the buffer in case it cannot go into their fields. Have legumes, maybe like pumpkins, whereby those same things, when they harvest, that's what they use for fertilization of their fields. Because I understand some have been doing it, but maybe other people since we're not putting it like a stringent thing that have been going on and getting it from other people's fields or from besides the neighbors. Yeah.
Great. No, that's a good point. But I would highly advise the EU regulation does not restrict that, like I put in the chart. Off-farm inputs can be used. You just need approval from the CB. So meaning that you will have to list all those things that farmers normally buy outside their farm. And then obviously the CB will ask you some questions or some forms of verification and they can approve it. I would request that you do the same thing with the NOP certifier because again, I'm seeing that if that is the practice, a common practice, then, you know, of course, transitioning from that and from where I'm sitting, and again, this is not because of the standard, but just because of my experience, the risk in most cases is quite low. And there is a way that you can argue on behalf of the farmers. Again, from the point of view of creating this kind of circularity around the production system. Because if they're already constrained in terms of materials they can generate from the farm, then if we put a don't to anything else that could actually improve the system, then we are kind of, you know, we're not, in the long term, we may have some negative implications. So I would highly advise for the EU regulation, and that's what this training is all about. It's not, there is no, all you need is just to list it and get approval from the CB, and farmers can use it, of course, after doing the risk assessment. For the NOP,
Yes.
you can do the same. Yeah, before you do the don't thing. Yeah.
Okay, for NOP, because our farmers are both EU and NOP, we don't have like specific, but we tried reaching out to the certifier and tried engaging them about the same issue, but they are really bit tight with the issue. So we are just trying again to engage them and explaining to them the situation that we have. But at the moment, the certifier is really tight and they actually refused. So maybe more engaging them, yeah.
Okay. I mean, for this is not about the NOP, but of course, if that's what the NOP requires, then you should comply. But for the others that are not NOP, please, yeah, what I put in the chat should be the procedure for the EU regulation. Mercy, I know your network is not good, but do you want to try? I know we only have 3 minutes. Maybe we can't run through for everyone, but yeah, if you can try, or if not, then I can. I don't know whether Mercy is still with us. Oh yes, I can see you.
Hello, Brian. Good morning, everyone. So
Hi.
I'm so sorry. I've not been 100% in this call, but at least one thing stood out for me. And it won't differ from what Margaret has just highlighted. And that's about the different inputs that farmers are using. At least I've now understood that so long as a risk assessment is done, and then we have approvals, we can now use. Yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Let me try another one. We still have 2 minutes. Oliver? Oliver, can you hear me?
Yes, I can get you, Brian. Are you getting me?
Yes, we are getting you.
Yes, thank you so much. For my take in this this morning session, I got it from it was recent about the type of water or either irrigation water or source of water that flows into farmers' fields. It was clear to me that rainwater that is just flowing, advisable for them to branch it to their fields because it might carry various contaminations that might not tally with their organic standards. Yeah, that's all for me. Then about the buffer zones from another presenter, that was really good because we always emphasize our farmers to plant buffer zones around their organic fields to protect them from the other environment of other farmers who are engaging in production too. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Oliver. Just a caveat on the water issue, like I said, and as Margaret said, it's always the risk assessment. So if it's just natural, normal water flowing along the road, no problem. I think we shouldn't overly restrict farmers on some of these things, unless you think that there is a risk, and at that point, then you can, of course, provide some alternatives. But I would still take a more risk-based approach, for that recommendation. Okay, I think we are time. Thanks, everyone. Olawumi, anything to add before we close? I know we are time.
No, please. Just that only 6 people submitted the assignment. The others did not submit assignment. Do not forget that to have a certificate at the end of this course, it requires that all activities are done, meaning 100% assignment, 100% quiz. The quiz is open, so from now till Sunday, at the dot of time on Sunday, the quiz will be closed again. It's automatic, it's not us closing it, it's going to close by itself. So please, between now and Sunday, try and finish up the quiz. If you have leftover from the first week, finish up, because the system will not release your certificate at the end of the 3rd week if all activities have not been done, even to the activity of what you have learned. So please, let's submit, and then we get a feedback on it. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, and have a nice weekend. See you on Monday for our module 3. Thank you. Bye-bye.